bullshit ass fucking AI generated music. I gotta really get serious about my shit and start using this background and green screens and have shit I got in fucking box back down and give me some music. But good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever part of the day is the people that choose to reach you. Hope you're feeling well. I hope you're feeling fine. I hope you're feeling blessed. I hope that you really are blessed. Realize that you are blessed. Why are you blessed? Because you got to see a day that somebody else didn't get to see. So let's jump on into the stream today. As y'all can see, I had on there a couple of different things to talk about. One of the things that I wanted to really talk about was the fact that AAU was really fucking up basketball. I know a lot has been said as of late in regards to AAU and the whole debate about development and Euro players versus United States players. And some people blame AAU as the result, as the for the fault. Some people blame AAU as the cause of all the lax play that we see coming from the United States players, the non-development that we're seeing from a lot of them. I agree. AAU is fucking this game up. And I don't think it's a racial thing. A lot of people want to try and make it a racial thing. Talk about AAU is predominantly a lot of black kids, and why we got all these white folks talk about it. Something that predominantly is participating with black kids. Well, I've been saying for a while that one, the camp circuit has been fucking shit up because this originally started with the Nike and Adidas camps. I'm for the date myself. Well, I'm 41 years old, man. Fuck all that shit. I was around when we had Nikes and Adidas camps. Back when literally it boiled down to your team or your basketball team played in certain circuits or certain camps associated with either Nike or Adidas, because Nike and Adidas were the primary sponsors of a lot of the college basketball teams. So being that they were the sponsors, they would put together these circuits and these camps where they would get all the best players in the country to come play in these camps. And then guess what? The teams that they sponsored would show up to these camps and recruit players based on who came to these camps. A lot of shady shit went on because of these Nikes and Adidas camps. Let's just say that. I'm gonna just say that. But AAU is a distinction of that. Some people are trying to say that, oh well, AAU is not meant for development, it's meant for showcasing the best of the best of the best. Newsflash, dumbass. How can you showcase the best of the best of the best when every week the teams change? You got some people that are showing up in gyms and they're looking at the same coach with a brand new fucking team every fucking week. Like, come on. That's what is he developing? That coach is trying to get all the wins that he could get so he could be like, oh man, my record is da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's not about player development when you're seeing just teams just flip-flopping every damn week. When you got parents that are saying, hey, my kid ain't playing that much. And then you look, you got a team of 15 kids and only 6 kids are really playing. I'm not never gonna be the one to call somebody's kid sorry. But what I will say is if I'm ever looking at a game and I'm seeing a full team of like 15 kids and only 6 kids playing, I'm going to doubt the coaching, because I'm not just going to say, oh, well, them kids ain't good enough to play. Nah, hell no. That's what they're there for, to learn. That's what the coach is there for, to teach them. If the coach is just sitting there letting all the rest of these fucking kids sit on the bench, hello, he not there to coach. He there to win. And we see that time and time again with this AAU and travel ball stuff. We've seen, man, I know one of my homegirls told me that her daughter played in a league where there was a coach that literally assembled like the fucking Avengers of high school girls basketball. He had like the top players from across the state on his team, and he would call it their parents, be like, hey, meet me in this city at this gym on this weekend and we gonna hoop. These kids don't even practice. A lot of them don't. And that's the problem that is becoming very apparent because these are the same kids that everyone wants to say, oh, they're on a pedestal because they play AAU ball, but then they go to the college, they go to the pros, and they getting dog walked because they're not fundamentally sound. Yeah, they might could go out there and try and get a bucket. They might got some handles. They might could dribble their ass off, but they're not fundamentally sound. They don't know how to persevere through losing because they've been on a stacked team their whole fucking career. So now when they get on a team that's got a couple, losses on their record, they're thinking the worst, which is a whole other thing because these kids are soft as fuck nowadays, Melody, which is a whole nother fucking conversation to have. But we're not gonna dive into that thing because I'm talking about how AAU was fucking up college sports and fucking up stuff. And one time for Purple Glass, meeting my boy Jordan. AAU might have been ahead of the game with all this NIL stuff floating around now. You right? You're absolutely right, Jordan. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because that's the other part of it, because I said about the AAU, excuse me, the Nikes and Adidas accounts funneling the players to kids, funneling the players to certain colleges. Same things happen with some of this AAU and travel ball stuff because one of the things that these coaches are starting to tell these kids, hey man, I'll get you in the gym. We got this coach coming, we got that coach coming to the gym, we got this coach coming to the gym, we got that coach coming to the gym. And I don't doubt that they're having these coaches come to the gyms. But I think what's being lost in all this AAU and travel ball conversation is that these kids still are high school students. These kids still have to graduate from high school to take advantage of any college scholarship that they are offered, no matter how they're offered that college scholarship. So if they don't got the academics, they can't do shit. And when it comes to saying, "Oh, we get these, got you, got all these coaches in the gym. Come look, come get a scene, come get seen." Here in Broward County, we ain't sending a lot of basketball talent, to the major D1 schools. You look at Don Staley. Damn, I'll say Don Staley. Yeah, you look at Don Staley's roster at USC. Florida. Go to UConn roster. You don't see no Florida. You go to the top programs in college, women's college basketball. The fuck? You don't see kids from Florida. Hold on. They're trying to censor Al Jazeera. Y'all saying it live on TV. They trying to censor Al Jazeera, y'all. We'll go to the BBC. Not mine, though. I keep mine in my pants. But what I was at? AAU is fucking up sports. When I was in the development, and these kids still got to go to high school to get their admission to college. So if anything, I look at all this year-round travel ball AAU stuff as a distraction from the real development that these kids can have that's going to take their lives and their careers and their potential basketball or sports careers to the next level. Any college coach that you talk to is going to tell you that they love to see athletes that play multiple sports. They don't give a damn if they were stars in those multiple sports. They like to see that those kids was out there competing. Because one of the other things is when we play multiple sports, we're using multiple muscle groups. We're using different muscle groups that are getting us exercise and making sure that we don't break down and fuck up, as we're getting older. Because a lot of these kids are just flaming out. They're getting injuries and their careers are just over when they're very young. So all that cross training gets your muscles some work in the off season. Speaking of the off season, all those AAU tournaments, travel ball tournaments, you're not getting quality reps. You going out, you're playing on a stacked team against a team full of motherfuckers that are mediocre at best. That's not a quality game. That's not quality reps. Like, just playing to play, like, nah, man, no. And they're giving these kids this false hope by saying, oh, we can get you into college. And in reality, the kids' parents and their college coaches do a lot more than a lot of these AAU and travel ball coaches doing to get these kids in college. That's the harsh reality of the situation. Because when you really look at who's there on signing day, who the college coaches are reaching out to, it's only a handful of travel ball and AAU coaches that got that network. Well, they got coaches that are going to be contacting them. Every AAU and travel ball coach ain't got that network, but they'll fucking sell it to you like they do. Hey, come on, man, we got, come on, we get. I be hearing it. I deal with it all the time. My daughter is a 6'4" rebounding machine, double monster, 2-sport athlete. Used to be 3, but we gave up that volleyball shit. You know what I'm saying? Leave that to them right there. You know what I'm saying? But I hear the pitches. And I'm respectful when I hear the pitches. I let them get this shit off. But then I respectfully decline. And let them know, hey, while you talk about travel ball, my daughter is all county in track. So I'm supposed to pull her away from a sport that she's all county in to give her some bullshit reps in a travel ball team that I know she's gonna dominate with. Because, like, come on, man. Come on. I much rather see a college coach look at my daughter's transcript and see that she's a multi-sport athlete, straight A student, and be like, damn, I can give her some scholarship money, some track money, and some basketball money to equal out to a full scholarship. Because the one untalked about thing with all this AAU travel ball shit is how hard it is to get the high school kids recruited by the colleges themselves now that we got the transfer portal out there. That is not being talked about. You have to be fucking immaculate as a high school senior to get recruited now to go to college, go to play sports at college. To the major schools, I should say that. The Division II, Division III schools, they still out there hungry. But the D1 schools, especially the major ones, the Florida States, the UMs, the UFs, the USCs, the Ohio States, the UNCs, you got to be exceptional as a high school senior for them to come get you. And when they say exceptional, they're not talking about playing on the AAU team that went undefeated, because when they're going to look at them game tape, they're going to be like, yeah, that wasn't a quality rep. You're going against somebody that was a no-star at that, at best. Then they look at your high school game tape. They want to look at your high school game tape to see, because your high school is going to be more so matched up on a similar level. Now, some of the players on the other teams may not be as good, but you're going to have games against teams that are equally or betterly matched to you when you're playing in the high school circuit, more so than you playing in the AAU or travel team circuit. Because once one of them travel ball coaches identify some good talent, guess what? Hey, man, come let them play for my team. Hey, man, come let them play for my team. Because they be in there stealing other people's team. But that's what's going on out here. That's why I say AAU is really fucking up the state of sports. I can't get over the people that tell me it's not meant for development. That's bullshit, man. These kids are playing youth sports to learn these game and develop themselves and become better athletes, better people, better individuals, better all around motherfuckers. And you lose sight of that, you need to get the fuck off the fucking sideline and stop coaching these kids. Simple as that. All right. Now I got that off my chest. Let's get into some political shit, because that is what we are here for. We're gonna start at. Let's go. I haven't been on stream in a while, y'all. I do apologize. Life be life, and as I always tell y'all, I am not a content creator. I create content. I work. I'm a father, and sometimes I just don't be feeling like getting on stream, setting up. Like I don't feel like setting up. Y'all stop saying that motherfucking backdrop. So that's just how much I be like, man, fuck that shit. Y'all lucky I got these lights up. But since I've been last on stream, we've had a lot of updates when the Florida legislature. As some of you may know, we are in the middle of political session right now in the state of Florida. For those that don't know, political session is when our state legislators get into their collective groups and their cabinet cabinet appointees or whatever their little committees they're a part of, and they say, "Hey, we're going to put these bills or these measures forward for the governor to sign or put forward for you as the voters of the state of Florida to decide whether you want to become laws." This is where the whole debate around or the conversation around property taxes going away is being had. And I welcome anybody on stream. I don't give a damn who you are, where you from. If you got a worthy argument of why you think property taxes should be abolished or go away, please, 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 I will send you an invite to get on stream with me, and we can have a nice, calm, and who am I kidding? Because if you go off on me, I'm gonna tell you about yourself. We're gonna have a debate. God damn. Skeeters, goddamn Florida. We can have a debate about why you think property taxes should go away. I don't think property taxes should go away. I think property taxes are a very vital thing. A lot of the debate around let me get the proper name. HRJ 203. That's the measure that would take away property tax from certain homesteads. It would supposedly, allegedly ensure that essential first responder services like fire and EMS and also schools would not lose funding as a part of this measure directly. But other essential services that are funded for your community would go away. Essentially, fast tracking the gentrification process, meaning that your property taxes would go down because your local government would not have the ability to do the certain things, the same things that you say the government is supposed to do. With that, even though this measure says it would not touch school funding or first responder funding, if funding for other services are interrupted or adjusted, or they don't have money for that flat out, do you think that your local municipality is going to still fund schools and first responders at the same level? Why in the fuck did I just get all dark all of a sudden? What the fuck? All right, play with some more lights. I don't like it because it be getting hot sometimes. But yeah, back to the point. Do you think that your local municipality is going to still fund police and schools and everything the same way? No, they're not. They're not. They're not going to have the ability to fund them the same way. So it sounds good on the surface, but abolishing property taxes for or impacting property taxes in any way, shape, or form is a horrible fucking idea. A horrible fucking idea. And we gotta backtrack a little bit and ask ourselves, how do we get to this point of talking about abolishing property taxes? It's because the state of Florida has been experiencing housing issues where we got fucking $1 million rent. People can't afford to buy homes in the state of Florida. Insurance premiums are out of fucking hand. The cost of living in the state of Florida has gotten very uncomfortable for a lot of people. Gas prices, even before this whole situation with Iran, gas prices was the issue. And while our legislature could do something about all that stuff, they chose not to. They chose to instead put forward a measure that on the surface it sounds like it's going to save you money, when in reality we got to even look at, and I don't want to say this to shade nobody, but we got people that are talking about get rid of property taxes that don't even fucking pay property taxes. So if you don't pay property taxes and you're saying get rid of property taxes, what the fuck are you actually saving? Like, realistically, you're not even saving yourself no fucking money, but you're gonna cost yourself and your community a whole lot because on the surface, oh man, it sounds good, man. Yeah, it sounds good. When I buy a house, I don't want to have to da, 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 da. Stupid motherfuckers. It's it's stuff like that happens where people don't even have an idea of what it really impacts because they don't even deal with it. Um, I had to stop myself from just going off just now, so I lost my train of thought. But um, property taxes are a vital thing, and once you touch them in any way, shape, or form, it's going to destabilize the entire ecosystem. And once you destabilize your ecosystem, it's a slow and steady. It's not even slow. It's going to be a steady decline. We've already seen pockets of communities being purchased up by big development corporations under the and we call it gentrification. This will fast track gentrification. Um, Communities that are well off and wealthy, they'll be able to absorb the hit and the financial tolls that are going to be levied on them because they're going to say, hey, we'll put $10,000-15,000 per household per household in this pot to be able to supply what it takes to keep our roads maintained. Do we supply whatever it takes to keep us safe, because hey, while we understand they said they wasn't going to touch police funding, the city of Parkland decided, hey, we ain't got enough money in the pot, so we can't afford to pay all the police officers that we had on budget. So they say, if y'all help us, we could keep them up. So they're going to have things like that are going to be constantly going on. So any type of way that you touch property taxes is a horrible fucking idea. Um, the one thing I will say about this measure, it passed the House, but it stalled in the Senate. It does not have a date for to be heard right now. Was it the 10th? Session ends in early May, like the first week of May. So we got a couple more weeks. So if it does not get heard before session ends, it'll continue to be just a pipe dream, something that we talk about on the internet for the next year. So hopefully that's where it stays. It has not moved forward. Like I said, it passed the House but stalled in the Senate. The Senate hasn't even given it a date to be heard yet. So we'll see where that goes. Hopefully it goes no fucking where. But one thing that I did see go somewhere that I do not like is House. What's this motherfucker? Where's it? Where I go? HB 147 and SB 1632. This gives the chief of domestic security within the Florida Department of Law Enforcement the ability to designate groups and individuals as terrorist organizations based off vague and generally undefined definitions. When you want to give a person this type of power, you need to have clear and defined definitions of what a terrorist organization is. By this bill, they define a terrorist organization as anybody that's trying to influence the public or a governmental agency or political ideology or push a political ideology. Ladies and gentlemen, you are looking at a terrorist organization if this bill passed. Al Jazeera, I turned it from it. BBC, they could be labeled as a terrorist organization. The biggest problem that this bill has is that it gives them the ability to take funding from colleges and universities and schools that they say are supporting members of these terrorist organizations. Can you imagine how fast they're going to try and snatch funding from Florida A&M University under the guise of, hey, you guys got some pro-black groups on your campus and they're pushing DEI. And we don't like it. They're a terrorist organization. And Florida A&M University is harboring them. So we're going to take funding from Florida A&M University. Ladies and gentlemen, this bill has gotten passed in the House, passed in the Senate, and is sitting on the governor's desk to sign. They did this very early in session to get this through so that the political backlash and potential news cycle that this would drum up can ramp up and die down before session ends because they understand that people forget about shit very quickly in society. So this is something that if Ron DeSantis signs and decides not to just be like, well, you know what, we're gonna see some shit next year. Luckily, Ron DeSantis will be out of office very soon. So the potential new governor of Florida, whoever that may be, we got like 30 some candidates. Last time I checked, it was like 32 candidates in the race. But the next governor of Florida will be able to use this power, and that's some scary shit, y'all. That is some scary fucking shit. Like, that's some scary shit. Like I said, I might be labeled a fucking terrorist based on this shit because I talk some shit, y'all. I talk some shit because a lot of people tell me that politics don't be impacting their life. And I be like, bro, you are so fucking misinformed. Like politics impacts your life so much. Oh yeah, another something that is going through the House for the legislature. Uh House Bill 991. It requires proof of citizenship to vote. This is identical to the SAVE Act, ladies and gentlemen, that they're trying to push through Congress. Even if Congress does not get the SAVE Act through, understand that Florida is working on legislation that directly mirrors the SAVE Act. So we can possibly dodge a federal bullet if Congress, the federal Congress doesn't get their shit together with this with SAVE Act, and then get hit with a stray bullet because the Florida legislature decided, hey, the SAVE Act sounded kind of good. We're gonna go ahead and put it together. It passed the House, is waiting on Senate confirmation, is waiting in the Senate, waiting on the Senate is waiting on the state, it's waiting on the Senate to give it a date to be heard. This is one of those things again, just like excuse me, just like the property taxes debate. This passed the House and it has not gotten a date in the Senate to be heard. Hopefully, it does not get heard in the Senate to be even voted on and considered to get pushed to the governor's desk. That's how this works. Get it pushed. It gets introduced in the House. House either approves or denies. It gets sent to the Senate. Senate has to do what they're gonna do with it. They approve that. They approve both. If both chambers approve it, Ron DeSantis is going with it. So hopefully this fake ass SAVE Act dies in conversation just like the rest of this bullshit. And I think that's most of the contentious stuff that has been going on in the Florida political world lately. Now the big shit that I know everybody would want to know, because I done had, this is part of the reason why I fuck with y'all, because I know that sometimes I post things that are a little just too contentious, or I said in a certain way that y'all not gonna like my shit, y'all ain't gonna comment on it, but boy, will y'all DM me about that shit? Will y'all text message me about that shit? Will y'all call me about that shit? And I appreciate it because it lets me know that y'all are engaging with it. I'd appreciate the like, the comments, or the share, the engagement with the post itself, But I understand why y'all don't be liking and engaging with some of that shit, because one of my dogs told me a long time ago that he got some flack from, some people about something I did and said and how he engaged with, what I'm saying. And I don't fault y'all for, protecting y'all peace. And I've said it on stream a long time ago and told people before. And I've actually even blocked people just to try and protect them. Like, you know what? I'm gonna block you so that none of this shit comes across, and none of those work friends or anybody that you are engaged with in that other world, can even see this shit, because I got friends of all walks of life. I got friends that have sold dope. I got friends that are elected officials. I got family members that are elected officials. Yes, and I still act like this. One of my homegirls said a while ago, I have some very unserious friends with some very important jobs. Who the fuck made us the new adults? So I understand why y'all engage with some of this stuff, but when y'all do engage, like I said, I appreciate it, and it lets me know that you see it, and it lets me know that I ain't tripping out here. The other part of why I say some of the things I say and how I say it, the way I say it, excuse me. Let me sit back up, because I'm gonna make a clip out of that. The other part of the reason why I say the things that I say and the way I say the way I fuck. One time for the jump cut in the editing software, because I edit all this shit out and make clips. One reason why I say the things that I say, how I say them, is because a lot of people will tell me to my face, look me in my own eyes, my own with their own Jeepers Creepers, and tell me that politics don't impact their life. Politics ain't got shit to do with their life. Have you motherfuckers seen that gas went up a full fucking $1 over the weekend? I promise you. I filled up my tank Thursday. Ripping and running. Friends came in town. Just going. I put gas in my car this morning. What I paid on Thursday was significantly less than what I paid to fill up my tank just now. That is fucking ridiculous. And that's all because of Trump's war. So when people tell me that politics don't impact your life, I say the shit that I said the way I said to wake them the fuck up and make them realize, yes, politics does impact your life. And I used to be calm with it, but as some of y'all know, when people talk to me crazy, I used to have a reputation for putting my hands on people. And at this point in my life, I can't put my hands on people the way I want to put my hands on people. So I say the shit that I say the way I say it to wake them the fuck up instead of just slapping the fuck out of a bitch. It is what it is. But politics impacts your life. These gas prices impact is one of the reasons why I say that shit. Whoo, shit. I almost forgot. The fact that one of the reasons why I put this on the list is because TSA, people forget with all this bullshit going on in Iran that we got a whole ass government shutdown that we're in the midst of. Let's get back to Al Jazeera. We got a whole government shutdown that we're in the midst of. TSA is about to miss their, I think, their second or third full paycheck. Guess what? A lot of them are saying, hey, man, I ain't going to work. I ain't going to work, not getting paid. I'm going to go over here and work this temp job. I'm going to go over here and do this. I'm going to go over here and do that because I got to make my bills. So on the cusp of spring break, we're seeing long lines. And I ain't even talk about just to get on the airplane. We're talking about long lines to get to the security checkpoint, not through the security checkpoint, just to get to the security checkpoint. They're talking about 3-4 hours sometimes. I was so happy some of my friends hadn't got through the airport before all this shit started going off, because right now in Texas and Houston, some parts, or is it Houston airport, they're telling people to arrive 5 hours early for domestic flights. You know, they'll tell you arrive 2 hours early for an international flight, but 5 hours early for a domestic flight is fucking insane. Politics, baby. Politics impacts your life. Don't tell me politics don't impact your life when all this shit is going on. Speaking of all this shit going on, there's a lot going on in Israel and Iran. Turn that off for a minute because they was gonna steal my steam. A lot is going on in Israel. the destruction that is going on in Israel because they want to highlight, or they want to make it seem as if what we're doing in the United States with the whole Israel, Iran, U.S. proxy war is a righteous thing. We're making Iran get rid of their military grade plutonium and nuclear weapons and this, that, and the other. First of all, we're going to back up a little bit. Let me get full screen when I'm talking about shit because I don't want to go into that yet. I'm going to get his background. First of all, let's get a background. We're talking about President Obama's, fuck that, no. We're talking about President George Bush's presidency, his second term. George Bush started the process to disarm Iran. He started the negotiations that would eventually become known as the Iran Treaty, whatever we want to call that shit. Obama came into office, worked hard behind the scenes. It wasn't a quick thing, and he eventually got it done. The Iran Accord, I think it was called. Iran said, hey, we're going to let y'all come in. You're going to be able to check and look through our facilities and see that we're not producing weapons-grade plutonium. Obama said, hey, we're going to give you a seat at the table internationally, and we're still going to allow you to develop plutonium and work, and it's different nuclear capabilities because you can use nuclear stuff for different shit. We got nuclear fucking plants all over the place in the United States of America that is used for all different reasons. So they were going to be able to still produce that type of shit. It was going good. Granted, it was some some hiccups and some headaches along the way with it. It was going, but it was overall working. And for the most part, Iran had stopped the bullshit. They had stopped the bullshit. They wasn't out there raising hell. Hezbollah wasn't, doing all the crazy shit they was doing. Trump gets into office, his very first term, and he rips up the Iran Accord. Rips it up. Oh, this is a horrible thing. We don't need this. This is horrible. They're not this. So Iran said, all right. You don't want to be our friend no more? Cool. And they went back to developing all the fuck shit that they had. Fast forward to, I have no idea why Israel started fucking with Gaza or Palestine. But now they're in the fuck around and find out mode because after all of that shit, they started a war and Iran is kicking their ass right now. But when we look at the U.S. media, they won't show you that type of stuff. The U.S. media wants to play nice with Donald Trump because they or else they'll get the Jimmy Kimmel treatment. The U.S. media is not putting this type of shit on the TV for y'all to see. So let's take a look at this shit right here. Get on TikTok or YouTube. This is what you see. Night after night after night. So that's the one we go. You look at the news or you hear yourself talking, this shit ain't happening. You get on the ground reports. And I told y'all this is what was going to happen. I said early on in the war, Iran is for to bombard the Iron Dome and deplete its resources. There's no way that Israel and its proxies and its homies and whoever else got these fucking systems has hundreds of these $1 million fucking missiles just sitting there ready to go up. They got an exact number of these missiles that they got. And once they fire them bitches up, they ain't got no more because number one, they take a long time to produce. And number two, these missiles cost at least $1 million a piece. We talk about $1 million missile that's sometime going up and not even hitting the other fucking missile. So you sent this $1 million missile up and missed, and now that bitch can't even be reused no more. Because guess what? The other part they're not talking about is some of this destruction that we're seeing on camera, that I'm showing you on here, is from missiles and ordnance and drones and actually making contact and blowing shit up. The other part of that is when the Iron Dome missiles are missing, they're coming down with a lot of kinetic energy. And those that don't know what kinetic energy is, they're coming down with a lot of fucking force. And it's fucking shit up on contact. So you got Iran shooting missiles that are meant to explode and blow shit up. You have Israel shooting interceptor rockets that are missing and falling to the ground and fucking shit up because of the force and kinetic energy as it's releasing when it falls to the ground. And then you have Iran shooting missiles and Iran's interceptors actually connecting and blowing that bitch up. But let me ask you a question, chat. If this was a glass bottle,
Israel says it's targeting Hezbollah. Over 500 people have been killed in Lebanon.
They shut southern suburb hit with another round of attacks. Israel strikes on Beirut. They shooting up residential sites left and right, y'all. But let me ask you a question. If this was a glass bottle, I shoot this glass bottle over your head. You take this pen. Let me put my microphone down for this here. If this is a glass bottle. This is Iran's missile. This is Israel's interceptor missile. My head is Israel. If you shoot this to try and blow me up, I shoot an interceptor. I blow this bottle up in the air over my head. What happens? Does the debris not fall on my head? And inside of these rockets are liquid fuel, explosives, metal, glass, objects that can impale people and cause serious harm. So even when these interceptors work, did they really work? Because people are still being hurt by these interceptors. And I told y'all before this shit started, they're going to deplete the Iron Dome, and then they're going to start sending the supersonic, hypersonic shit and the fucking cluster bombs and the shit that really does a lot of damage. They spent 10 days sending $10,000 and $20,000 cheap ass drones to deplete $1 million missiles. And now they're sending their $1 million missiles across the water. Well, they ain't cross the water, cross land. Let's take a look at some more of this shit. These are cluster bombs. That's what a cluster munition is for, y'all. This is what a cluster munition is. Damage. But this is that's the hypersonic missile. You see how fast that fucking missile went from here to there? That's what hypersonic is. These are cluster munitions. All these little that just going into smaller pieces. Like aftermath. They don't want you to do that. That's Tel Aviv. Now it's Friday. Now it's before Easter on the bomb.
الظاهر في قنبلة اتفجرت في
They want you to see that this is working.
I think that's what the calculation now.
This shit is funny right here. If you follow me on IG, last week I shared a clip of Aaron Burnett, CNN anchor, live in Tel Aviv. She's on the roof giving an interview to an individual. They're talking. and she looks and she sees the interceptor missile go up in the air. And then they continue to talk, and she sees another interceptor missile go up in the air. And then the guy kind of talking, she's starting to get a little spooked. And all of a sudden, she just says, well, there's another interceptor missile going up. We're going to go ahead and go try and get to cover, because as you've seen, the interceptors went up, but they did not intercept anything. So we're going to go to get to cover now. Yeah, she unbuckled all her shit and got the fuck up out of there. Live on air. So understand, when people are telling you that missiles are getting through the Iron Dome, they're not lying to you. This is not propaganda. I in no way, shape, or form am on Iran's side. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to cape for them like they're a wonderful regime. I understand and recognize the atrocities that have happened under this regime. But I also understand and recognize that this is Israel's problem to deal with. They've been chanting death to America since before I was born. So trying to say them chanting death to America is an existential threat to the United States of America, kiss my ass. Because we're about to get drained. These shit ain't working. Look, get back to the point. Here's another clip. They live on the air, and the interceptors are missing again.
Regime preservation.
The missile actually impacted. And if you listen close to the man's trying, he talking that regime change. He talking some big shit. He talking some shit like trying to frame it like Israel got the upper hand. And as he's trying to talk about Israel having the upper hand, Israel gets bombed right as he's talking. Kind of reminds me of when last night when Trump was giving a press conference talking about how Iran's calling for peace and they want peace, and then matter of fact, they started bombing shit as soon while Trump was talking, giving the press conference. I'm gonna show y'all what they was bombing while Trump was giving his press conference. And I got a clip of it right here. But look,
could you get a more pragmatic figure presiding over this regime? Sure.
Aaron, I just want to break in for a moment because we're looking at live pictures in the air over Tel Aviv, and obviously, as many people know or maybe don't know, there is an Iron Dome that Israel uses as its missile defense system, and we're seeing it working now. But in some places and instances, it does not work, and I believe this is one missile feasibly that has broken through the Iron Dome.
Look at this. That was yesterday. Warning, nothing. Got through that bit. Not the alarms going off, but too little, too late. The Iron Dome is depleted, y'all. Like that shit got holes in it. Iran's strategy is working. Dude, they tried it. Everything that's a good one. Every day, every night, they're scared as fuck. They don't know if they're going to die and they're
Israeli police had to rescue two female IDF soldiers who were being attacked.
Listen to this. United States of America is not the only people that have to be concerned about a draft being started up. Our military commanders have not openly talked about boots on the ground just quite yet. But once they do, a draft is a real concern. Anytime we go into a war, a draft is a real concern. And drafts are not unique to the United States of America. In this clip, you're about to see how Orthodox Jews responded to Israeli Defense Force uniformed members when they thought they thought that they were trying to have a draft, to create a draft, or had like enlist people for this little conflict. Look at this shit.
crowd of ultra-Orthodox Jewish men. A riot broke out near Tel Aviv because the men thought the soldiers were trying to enlist people into military service. The women were reportedly on a welfare visit. 23 people were arrested during the clash.
They was on a welfare visit. And because they've been having these conversations about instituting the draft and taking away the Orthodox Jews' exemption and making them go fight in the war, these peaceful individuals, I'm gonna point that out. The Orthodox Jews are the people that be having the long curly shit. These are generally peaceful individuals. Look what they made peaceful people do.
Military service is mandatory under Israeli law, with ultra-Orthodox Jews mostly being exempt. But Israel is considering ending this exemption. The issue has become increasingly contentious since Israel's war on Gaza. Israeli officials and ultra-Orthodox leaders have roundly denounced the violence.
Now, I said that last night. Let me back in my chair a little bit. I said last night as Donald Trump was giving a speech on the status of the war, he said that Iran was actively looking to be peaceful and negotiate and this, that, and other. What's really happening is that Kuwait, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, all that entire region has been taking a ass whooping because of the Israel and Iran war. And they're not necessarily getting attacked in their capital cities per se, but what's happening is anywhere and everywhere there's a U.S. military base or some type of U.S. military presence, they getting blowed off the fucking face of this earth. They getting blowed up in that region. Early on, we saw hotels that were getting bombed, and people are like, why are they bombing hotels? And then you find out that CIA is using them as staging outposts. The military is putting up members of their entire regiments in these fucking $1 million Dubai hotels. That's why the hotels in Dubai was getting blown the fuck up early on, because there are military personnel living in them. And these other countries, they're like, yo, we understand that you say you're going after them, but we tired of this shit. And that's Iran's whole plan. They gonna make everybody else put the pressure on Israel and the USA to say, hey, stop fucking with them people, okay? Like, leave them the fuck alone. We don't want what they got going on. We was cool with both of y'all, and as soon as you started fucking with them, they started blowing up all the shit that you got in my country. Like, come on, bro. Like, leave them people the fuck alone. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what's actually happening. Israel blew up oil depots in Iran. Iran turned around and said, you want to blow up my oil? I'm going to blow up oil depots all around this motherfucker. And I'm going to close off the Strait of Hormuz, which 20% of the U.S., not U.S., 20% of the world's oil supply goes through. Trump has talked that big shit, talk about he going to send boats to be escorted through the U.S. Navy is horrified to go into the Strait of Hormuz. Not only do they got a missile defense system, multiple of them aimed directly at this 20-something mile wide stretch of ocean, because it's not that big. It's 20-something miles wide. That's not a lot of space for you to get through. Secondly, Iran has a fleet of smaller, not only they got naval boats, they got a fleet of like smaller U-boat types that are just known for just fucking shit up. Where they're like a fucking bunch of hornets. They can surround a U.S. destroyer and bring it down. One of them might not be able to do it, but when you got 2 or 3 of them surrounding it, shooting missiles and all that shit, they'll bring that bitch down. And they got a fleet of them in that motherfucking area. And on top of that, after all that shit wasn't enough, just not the missiles, not the big fucking Navy, not the little Navy boats. These motherfuckers got a whole goddamn fleet of remote control bomb boats. They got some RC remote control boats that they could just boom. They got drone boats that can blow your ass up. That's why the U.S. Navy has backed away from the Strait of Hormuz. They can't go near it. Now, speaking about Iran's pushback, because once the new Ayatollah got put in place, this motherfucker wasn't playing, y'all. They killed that man daddy, and he ramped shit up. He blew up the oil depots. He's attacking. Now, he's not even really sinking ships in the Strait of Hormuz to close it. He's sending like drones to blow up near a boat a day. And with that happening, boats are willingly not even entering that motherfucker. They're like, you know what? He's toying with us. Like, he'll blow up a drone right near to the tanker. Like, hey, I told y'all not to come around here. You think I'm playing? Boom. The next one gonna be on your motherfucking bow. So they're not playing with him. And last night, Trump was talking about Iran wants to call for peace. This is what he did when Trump was talking about Iran wanting to call for peace. This is what they did. This is what they want to blow up whole complex. No gun for penny. At the same time, like this is what he's been talking about is what happened while Trump was talking. They blew up Benjamin Netanyahu's home complex by killing his brother. They were gunning for him, but they killed his brother. Fucked up a whole lot of other people. Burnt up his whole shit. And there are 2 Israeli cabinet members whose homes were bombed as well last night. One of which is in critical condition. The other one wounded very badly, but they'll say he's gonna survive. So let's jump in.
The home of Benjamin Netanyahu. They killed his brother. They struck the home of Ben Gvir. He is seriously wounded, may not survive. Iran is going to start to take out the totality of Israel's leadership. This is the reality of this conflict. Israel played the regime change game. It's going to be the Israelis that are going to be paying the highest price. The Iranians are no longer wearing kid gloves. They've taken them off, and they're coming in bare knuckle.
All right, he said it right, man. They're not playing nice anymore. Historically in conflict, we've seen Muslim people have morals, have ethics. I think the new Ayatollah is on one right now. He's grieving the loss of his father. He's grieving the loss of unnecessary death in his country. Let's not forget that the first day of this attack, U.S. Tomahawk missiles blew up an Iranian girls' school. Think about that. That's on this man's conscience as the new leader of this country. The first day we got attacked, they blew up a school. They killed my dad. They blew up one of our oil depots. Side note, the majority of Iranian oil that is exported and refined out of that country, you know what? Let's get into that. Crude oil and refined oil are 2 different things. A lot of the oil that is going through that strait is crude oil that really can't be stored because it got to be refined and all this other shit. A lot of Iranian oil is refined in the country on their border with Qatar. And Iranian dark fleet boats have already been tracked, multiple of them, leaving the Strait of Hormuz, delivering their dark fleet oil to whoever the fuck they want to send it to. Not to mention their back door with Qatar is still exporting oil overland. So when you blew up the oil depot that they keep talking about on the news, understand that it's not really impacting their operation whatsoever. I need the United States military to stop with this propaganda bullshit. I'm 41 years old and I've never seen a Secretary of Defense on TV as much as I've seen Pete Hegseth in the last couple of days, or last weeks. When we have conflicts of this nature, normally we have our military leaders in a command center directing the show or on the ground near the troops, motivating them and directing the show from where they at. Not in Washington, D.C., not on the president's plane, being his lapdog, his lackey. I have real concerns about this administration's ability to defend the United States and its interests. As I said before, I'm not a fan of Iran. I'm not like trying to say they need to be left alone, none of shit like that. What I will say is this is Israel's issue to deal with. Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu has asked U.S. president after U.S. president after U.S. president after U.S. president after U.S. president to invade Iran. And all of them has told him the same thing. That ain't my problem. That ain't my fucking problem. But Donald Trump comes along, and now we got the perfect storm. We got an inept Congress that doesn't want to exercise their checks and balances power and reel this shit in. Shout out to the justice system in the United States of America that's keeping us protected and keeping us having some resemblance of the United States of America. And we got a situation where like the Taliban, when they fucked up Syria, that took away the buffer, because that thing Syria was keeping everybody in check. Syria was keeping everybody kind of balanced, and now that they ain't, Israel ain't even got that buffer no more. They got some defense on around the border, but without a whole country standing your way, and these motherfuckers shooting missile after missile after missile after missile after missile and depleted all your good shit, Israel is in for one. And I'm about to end stream, y'all, because I gotta I ain't got nothing to do with it. I just ain't for send this stream all that. I'm not an IRL guy. I appreciate my Twitch streamers, I appreciate y'all, but I ain't an IRL guy. I ain't gonna sit there. Y'all can't see my whole damn life all damn day. I love y'all, but not that fucking much. I gotta get into my bag and my rabbit hole and see what parts of Israel got blown off the map tonight. And get into my rabbit hole, y'all. But stay woke, stay paying attention to your world news sources, because if you look at just solely the United States of America's news sources to get information about this conflict, you're not gonna see it. You're not gonna see it. Sites like Al Jazeera. Some people talk shit about BBC and say they're not going to be reporting a lot of shit on the news. I think they pick and choose. They're not going to go as far as Al Jazeera, but they will. Speaking of which, get the fuck up off this. All right, no long special goodbyes and all that shit. Let me look at my motherfucking script again, make sure I touched on what I want to touch on. One last thing I want to end on, because like I said, the U.S. media ain't gonna talk about everything. We've got at this current time at least 150 U.S. service members that have been either killed or hurt in this conflict. As of yesterday, that number stood at 7. Today, that number grew to 150 because our military commanders are not giving information as freely and as honestly as we would hope. Some of the Iran reports that I was seeing said we had as much as 500 U.S. service members that were either killed or hurt in this conflict. I myself didn't want to believe it at first when I heard it, because I was like, how in the fuck they know how many people we got hurt? It just was like, whatever, dog, whatever. And I knew that we had a lot more than 8 people hurt. And to hear that number jump from 8 people killed yesterday, that's all they said was 8 people was dead yesterday. 7, excuse me. 8 person died today. And that number grew to whatever. Oh, we got like around 140, 150 service members that are either killed or hurt in this situation. Like the fuck? Like I had a long talk with one of my partners that's being called up. He actually left today. One of my daughter's former teammates is on a boat in Washington, D.C. right now. She's in the Navy and she's sitting on the boat right now. Don't even know what the fuck for to go on with her life. And I think about those people when I heard this fucking casualty number. Like I think about the people that I know that are enlisted. What the fuck are they finna go risk their life for? Like my daughter could lose a homegirl. God, I wish that don't happen, but I don't want my daughter to experience that. You know what I'm saying? I understand certain things are a part of her life, and you know what I'm saying, I have to just be her father and be there for her. But how that's unnecessary. For what? My daughter that just left today, like we talked for like an hour and a half, just about a bunch of different shit. And I could tell in his energy, like, you know, he's gonna go do his job, but troop morale is a real thing, y'all. And when you sending people off to war to go fight, you want them to have good spirits. You want them to be, I ain't gonna say happy, but you want them to be in a place mentally where they feel as if they could confidently go and do their job effectively. I could tell you confidently right now that if we send a bunch of U.S. service people across that water to go fight Iran, a lot of them are not going to be going over there confident that they could do their job to the best of their ability, because they're going to go over there wondering, what the fuck am I going over there for in the first place? And that's why I'm going to end my stream today, y'all. Peace. Love you guys.